Can you add or change passengers after booking a private jet? Often, yes. But if you think that means there is an empty seat so my friend can just show up, you are already thinking like an amateur. That is not how serious private jet charter works. A passenger list is not just a guest list. It can affect the manifest, the operator approval, the documents, the baggage, the aircraft loading, the route, the timing, and sometimes the quote itself. If you want private jet charter explained for serious buyers, not status tourists, subscribe to Jetmaster. This channel is for people who want control before they book, not excuses after the plan breaks. In a moment, I'm going to show you what actually matters when you add, remove, or substitute ens passer inhibis adzum inhibins passengers after booking a private jet. And I'll show you the questions to ask before one small change becomes the reason your charter gets delayed, repriced, or refused. Let's start with the blunt truth. Private aviation is flexible, but it is not permissionless. That is the part people get wrong. They hear private jet and think the rules disappear. They do not. The aircraft is still operated by a real operator. The crew still needs a correct manifest. The aircraft still has weight and balance limits, the route may still have border, customs, or security requirements, and the person who is not listed may still need to be approved before boarding. So no, this is not like adding a chair at dinner. It is an operational change. Sometimes simple, sometimes annoying, sometimes a real problem. The question is not only, is there an open seat? That is the shallow question. The better question is, can this passenger, with these documents, bags, route requirements, and timing, be accepted on this exact charter? That is how serious buyers think. Point 1. The operator has to approve the change. This is the first thing to understand. Jetmaster does not operate aircraft. Villiers helps connect buyers with charter options, but the actual flight is operated by an aviation operator. That operator is responsible for the safe and legal operation of the flight. So if you change passengers after booking, the operator may need to approve it. They may need to update the passenger manifest. They may need legal names. They may need identification details. They may need passport information. They may need to brief the crew. They may need to update the FBO. They may need to check aircraft loading. This is not bureaucracy for fun. This is the operating system. A bad buyer treats the passenger list like a casual note. A prepared buyer treats it like part of the flight plan. Ask early. What is the latest time that I can make a passenger change? What information do you need? Does the operator need to approve the change? Will the confirmation be updated? And that is not being difficult. That is being clear. Point 2. For domestic flights, ID and loading still matter. On a domestic private jet charter, the process may be easier than an international trip, but easier does not mean careless. The operator still needs to know who is actually flying. Adults should be ready with proper identification. The crew and operator need the correct manifest, and the aircraft still has to work for the real passengers and baggage. Since real ID enforcement began in the United States on May 7th, 2025, domestic air transportation should be prepared with real ID-compliant identification none or another acceptable credential. Do not make the mistake of thinking private means invisible. Private means more controlled, not undocumented, and the loading issue matters too. One added passenger may also mean one extra suitcase, or golf clubs, or ski bags, or a pet, or medical equipment, or a stroller, or business cases. That can affect aircraft fit. Not always, but sometimes. So if you add a passenger, do not just say you add one more person. Say one more passenger, one checked bag, and one carry-on. Or one more passenger plus golf clubs. Or one passenger removed, no luggage change. That level of detail helps the operator answer properly. Point 3. International flights are not casual. This is where passenger changes become much more sensitive. If the flight is international, The passenger list may connect to advanced passenger data, customs, immigration, passport information, and border filings. For U.S. arrivals and departures, CBPAPIS rules can require passenger and crew manifest data for private aircraft. That data can include full name, date of birth, gender, citizenship, passport details, country of issuance, and expiration date. An amended manifest close to departure may require approval. So, if someone wants to join an international private flight at the last minute, do not treat that like a quick text message. It may not be quick, it may not be accepted, it may delay the flight, or it may create a paperwork problem that should have been handled earlier. This is where Alex is going to be very direct. If you are booking international private charter and your passenger list is still a guessing game, you are not being flexible. You are being sloppy. Flexibility is when the operator knows what might change and plans around it. Sloppiness is when someone appears at the FBO with a passport and a smile, expecting the system to bend. That is not a plan. Point 4. Adding, removing, and substituting are not the same change. Removing a passenger is usually the easiest. It often lowers complexity. Less weight, less baggage, less documentation, less catering, less passenger handling. It may not lower the price because whole aircraft charter is not usually priced like an airline ticket, but operationally, removing someone is often simpler. Adding a passenger is different. Now there is a new person, new ID, possibly new baggage, possibly new seating needs, possibly new route or document requirements. Substituting one passenger for another can be the most sensitive. Why? Because now the original manifest does not match the actual person flying. If the route is international or includes special or casuals rules, that substitution may need more review. So do not say we do as you, we are just swapping one person. That word just is where mistakes hide. Ask, is this treated as an add, remove, or substitution? Does it require operator approval? Does it affect paperwork or filings? Does it affect aircraft loading? Does it affect price or timing? That is the clean way to handle it. Point 5. One extra passenger can change aircraft fit. This is the point casual buyers really dislike. They look at the cabin and say, there are still seats. Why is this a problem? Because the seat is not the whole aircraft. The aircraft has payload limits. Weight and balance matters. Fuel matters. Baggage matters. Runway performance matters. Route length matters. Weather can matter. If the original plan was close to the aircraft's practical limits, one extra passenger and their bags can change the plan. Maybe the aircraft still works. Maybe it needs less baggage. Maybe it needs a fuel stop. Maybe another airport is better. Maybe a larger aircraft becomes the cleaner option. Maybe the quote changes. This is why there is an empty seat is not enough. That is airline seat thinking. Private charter is aircraft mission thinking. A serious buyer asks, if I add one passenger and luggage, does the aircraft still work nonstop? Does this affect weight, fuel, baggage, or runway performance? Would this change the aircraft recommendation? Would this change the quote? Those are the right questions. Point 6. Do not let an unlisted passenger show up at the FBO. This is the bad boy answer. If someone is not on the manifest, do not assume they can board. That assumption is childish. The operator may need to collect ID, update the manifest, check documents, review weight and balance, revise APIS or other filings, confirm approval, brief the crew, and possibly update passenger handling. If there is enough time, maybe it gets resolved. If there is not enough time, the flight may be delayed, or the passenger may be refused. Private aviation is flexible, but it is not a loophole for poor planning. If someone may join the trip, say so before booking. If someone is tentative, say so. If a passenger might be substituted, say so. If bags may change, say so. If the route is international, be even more careful. The earlier you disclose uncertainty, the easier it is to manage. The later you disclose it, the more fragile the charter becomes. Now here is the passenger change checklist. Before you approve the quote, collect exact legal names, date of birth when required, passport or accepted, ID, details when required, citizenship when relevant, which travelers are firm, Which travelers are tentative? Who might be substituted? Any baggage tied to each traveler? Pets, golf clubs, skis, medical equipment, strollers, or special items? And the latest safe change time for that operator, aircraft, route, and departure. Then ask these questions. Can passengers be changed after booking? What is the cutoff? Does the operator need to approve each change? Will a change affect aircraft fit? Will a change affect the quote? Will an international route require APIS, customs, or border updates? What happens if someone arrives who is not listed? That is how you protect the trip. Because the real issue is not whether passenger changes are possible. Often they are. The real issue is whether the change still fits the aircraft, the paperwork, the route, the operator, and the timing. If you want the cleaner way to think through this before you start booking private flights, the free 10-day Jetmaster private jet charter course is linked in the description and pinned comment. Do not use it like entertainment, use it like a pre-booking briefing. It walks through the decisions buyers usually learn too late: cost, aircraft fit, airport choice, route planning, safety questions, passenger details, and what to confirm before the charter becomes real. The smartest time to learn this is before someone is standing at the FBO with the wrong assumption. So here is the final answer. Can you add or change passengers after booking a private jet? Often, yes. But only if the operator approves it, the documents work, the aircraft still fits, the baggage makes sense, the route allows it, and the timing is not too tight. The seat is not the permission. The manifest matters. The documents matter. The aircraft loading matters. The operator matters. And if that sounds strict, good. Private aviation should feel flexible. It should not feel sloppy. And don't forget, your Jetmaster journey starts now.